All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Muskie chat. It looks like we have about 26 people signed on. We might get some more coming on, but my name is Lindsay Steller. I am one of the admission counselors here. If everyone could type in and say, yes, you can hear me, or no, you can't, that would be great before we really get started. If a couple people would say yes or no. Awesome. Okay. That is great. So I am going to turn it over to Michael Hubbard. He is here. He is the director for the All for One shop and our different retail stores on campus. He is going to cover kind of everything on how to get your books, what you need to know, kind of the ins and outs and tricks of the trade. So I'm going to turn it over to him. And then if you do have questions, you can type it in right where you told me that you could hear me, and we will cover all of those at the end. So I am going to let Michael take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your time. I'm trying to adjust so that everybody can see me and I'm not looking oddly, so ignore me if I move around for a minute. As she said, I'm the director for all the retail stores here on campus. So we have 3 retail stores on campus for, hopefully you've been here at this point. We have our All for One shop, which is up the street, that sells clothing, gifts, has a Starbucks inside of it. We have a store inside Cintas for sporting events, that sort of thing. And then we have our textbook and convenience location in Gallagher. While all of our stores are wonderful, and I would encourage everybody to visit them and stop and get coffee and get yourself a New Xavier shirt, the one we wanted to focus this on is textbooks. Textbooks is by far the thing we get the most questions of from incoming freshmen. How do I buy textbooks? Where do I find them? Why are they expensive? All of the above. So what I thought we'd do briefly today is I'll kind of give you, there's about 4 options of how you can buy them through the bookstore, some ahead of time, some the day that you get here. We'll go over some pricing options and just let you know kind of how the textbook model works. So there's, like I said, there's the big decision you have to make is whether you want to get the books before you get here or after you get here. After you get here is pretty simple. It would mean you'd come into the store, go through the aisles, pick out your books yourself, and ring up at the cash register. I highly encourage everyone, especially freshmen, not to do that. The reason being that our availability will continually go down. We will get enough books in, so you'll never not get a book, but books are all based on affordability, and you obviously want the cheapest book possible. Used is going to be the cheapest book possible, whether you rent or buy, which we'll get to in just a second. And the sooner you get your order in, the more likely you will be to find a used book. Used books, new books are an endless supply, more or less. We can always order more from the publisher. Used books are a limited supply, and it's not just limited to Xavier. We source books from all over the country, but again, every school in the country is more or less starting at the same point. So the sooner you can get orders in, the better. One thing to note, if you do decide to wait until you come to campus, our books in the store are laid out alphabetically by author. Something new we started last year, we found that customers really appreciated not having to have their schedule. So if you do come to the bookstore, you don't need to bring a single thing to find your books. There are kiosks spread out through our store. My staff will have tablets with them. You can also bring up a link we can show you on your phone that very easily, all you have to do is type in your Xavier email account. It will bring up your entire book list that you need for every course, alphabetically by author, and then you can make one pass through the store and find anything you need. Should be able to get in and out. Depending on the line, I would say somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. The lines at times will look really long. I guarantee you I have timed them. The longest line we had at any point last year was a 7-minute wait. So don't let a line make you go. We have plenty of registers, and they know how to make them move fast. So then let's jump to ahead of time. I'm going to get to the website. That's the easiest one, and I'll show you how to walk through it here in just a second. There's a couple other ways I would encourage people to use that are to some extent more effective than even our own website, because we've worked with Xavier to make it as easy a ordering process as possible. The first 2 I'd talk about are the Xavier app and your schedule on Banner, or the tool where the Road to Xavier is located on Banner. The Student Hub. Sorry, I don't know the right term sometimes. The Student Hub. So first, the app. If you have the Xavier app downloaded and you pull that up, there should be a link on there that says Buy Books. What that does, if you click on that Buy Books button, it will automatically communicate to the Xavier system, and it will look at every course that you've registered for. It will then automatically go out to our website and fill up your shopping cart with all the books you need for every course, and just show you the final shopping cart and let you choose which edition you want, use new rental, but it already puts everything you need for every single course in your cart. The same exact thing happens on the Student Hub. If you go when you're registering for class, or if you've already registered, if you go back and look at your dynamic schedule, down at the very bottom, there should be a button that says Buy Books. That automatically communicates, looks at all the courses you're enrolled for, fills up a cart with every book you need. There's another link that does a very similar thing in Canvas. I don't know how much people have been on Canvas at this point. Probably not very much. But once you get here, you'll be on Canvas a lot. Canvas is what every one of your instructors will use for homework assignments, and that's where you'll kind of get all of your in-class information. Down the left-hand side of that tool, there's a link that says Buy Books, does the exact same thing. Or if you want to browse around yourself, there's the website. I'm going to borrow the mouse for just a second so I can kind of show you. Yes, absolutely. So on all these things, I said they communicate with our website. This is the Xavier University Bookstore website. If you're on just the Xavier University school page, all you have to do is go up to that search engine up at the very top, the little magnifying glass, start to type in bookstore. This is what it will take you to. This is also where you do clothing, gifts, school supplies, technology, but like I said, today we're just going to focus on textbooks. Placing an order on here is really, really easy. We've tried to make it as straightforward as possible. The big thing you will need if you're ordering online and not using one of those other links I told you, you'll need your schedule available. That's how you'll place all your order. So if you just highlight books over to the left, click on textbooks and course materials, it'll open up this screen. We'll give it just a second to load. It'll ask you to select your campus. Xavier should already be selected. We're a one campus institution. Your program is going to be all. You'll select your term. Right now you can see there's a few terms in there. Here in about 3 weeks, those two will drop off and it'll just be fall 2017 listed on there. You'll select your department. This is where you need your schedule. So let's say you're taking a biology class. You'll go down to biology. I'm going to hope that I choose a class that's requiring a textbook. Let's say you choose 102 and your section is 01 and you click submit. It will come up and look something like this. Of course, as I just said that, I picked a course that didn't have any books required, but this is good to see. If you get this screen, it'll tell you who's teaching the course up at the top. It'll say Biology 102, Section 1, Pamela Roy, which confirms your instructor, and then you'll see no books required for this course. What that means, you'll see two messages. You'll either see a list of books right here, or you'll see one of two messages. If the message says no books required for this course, that means that instructor has notified us that they do not wish to use a book for that course. So you should be safe. You should be safe. It means they'll either probably have some manuals in class that you'll get, maybe some online materials, but whatever that is, it means they told us, hey, I don't need a book, so we didn't need to worry about it. The other thing you might see is no information received. What no information received means is that we have not gotten any information from the professor yet. So you can call in to ask us and you can call in your professor and try to get that information. It just means we try every day. I can tell you as we sit right now for fall, we're right about 78%. We've gotten about 78% of the professor's book information loaded into the system, and we are trying our best to get that to 100%. Usually by a week before classes, that our average is about 95%, and then within the first week of class, that'll get up to 100%. So if you ever see no information received, that just means we don't know what book you're using yet, and we are trying our best to get that information. I'm going to jump back and try to find one other course so we can actually see what it looks like with a course.
It's just being nice and slow today.
It is. I'm going to switch to summer, pretend like I'm not switching to summer. Lots of the fall ones might not quite be in there yet, so I'm going to switch to accounting. 200. There you go. So this is the screen you'll see when it has a book. This course only has one book. It'll tell you right up at the top, one required material. It'll always either say a required material or a recommended material. Required means that the instructor has told us this book is crucial to the course. The student will not be able to pass this course without having this book. A recommended book means the instructor has told us this book would be useful. You don't have to have it, but if you want to get the most out of the course, it would be a good idea to buy this book. Then you'll look down below. It'll have a breakdown of 3 different options for you. It has a hardcover, list where it says type, that says hardcover, that kind of lists the format the book is in, whether it's a paperback, a loose leaf bound book. Not the most useful information you need. It gets more important from there. Then you have the buy or rent option and the new or used option. Then you have what the rental period is. It'll show you when that book would be due back if you rented it. and then it'll give you your price over to the side. So you just put a little check mark in whichever box you want, click add to cart, and then it'll load your cart. You can search for your next book. Then I'm going to close that.
Can I?
Pop into my shopping cart. And this is the only book I have. Then you'll start the checkout process. The checkout process is pretty simple. You'll want to create an account, especially if you're running it, which I'll ask you on the next screen. These two questions below are questions that we get asked about frequently. All those questions say is most people are going to choose used. If you choose used and want us to switch, like let's say we try to fill the used book, we don't have a used book, that question down there is just saying, if we don't have a used book, do you want a new book or do you want no book at all? We can't switch to a new book without you telling us that it's okay to switch to a new book. We will always give you the used book if we have one available, but unfortunately, so many orders come in such a fast time frame, especially as we get closer to school. Right now, we're probably getting somewhere between 30 and 40 orders a day. A week before classes, that'll be somewhere around 300 orders a day. The amount of orders that come in really escalates, and books just fly too quickly for us to be able to guarantee the addition that we do. So you will just say whichever option you want, click checkout, and pop into this screen. I would highly encourage everybody, especially incoming freshmen, go ahead and create an account. It says you can continue as a guest. You don't need to put any of your information. This is a website you're going to be using for 4 years. It'll hold your rental information. Taking the time to create an account takes about 2 minutes. To just put your updated information in there really lets you have easy access the rest of the time. The one big note I will put in here, and then we'll get to affordability options when you're creating the account. I cannot stress this enough. If at all possible, the student themselves, I don't know if we have students and parents out there, I would assume we do, the student should create the account under their name. That will save you a lot of grief when you're trying to look for your old rental books. When you rent books, you'll get reminder emails to whatever email account you set up under this account. So if it's a parent's email account, you might not be getting the information, and then you won't turn your books back in on time. It'll just lead to a lot of tricky things. When you come to pick up your book, we will ask you for your student ID, and if it's under your parent's name, your student ID won't bring up anything because it was under a parent's name. So even no matter who's going to pay, you can pay with whatever account you want to when you get there, but make the student the account holder on there. As far as payment options on the website, we take any credit card. Also brand new this year, which we're really excited about, any students who have excess Bursar cash, or Bursar funds, I should say, so unused financial aid or grant money or anything that would be sitting on your Bursar account can be used on the website up through the first Wednesday of class. So we're pretty happy about that. Now that we've talked about how to order them, I'll talk a little bit about affordability, and then we'll go to questions. So textbooks are expensive. There is no way to get around that simple fact. We do absolutely everything that we can to try to work with publishers, to try to work with your instructors, to get that cost down as much as possible. But they will cost money. They're an expensive thing. Professors have gone to school for a very long time. They've gathered a lot of very useful information. Getting a publisher to put that information into a book and then selling it costs money. That being said, there are ways that you can absolutely reduce that cost. I'm going to start with what I would call the most expensive and then work down from there. Buying a brand new book will probably be your most expensive option. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Sometimes books are brand new because of new editions that have come out. Sometimes books have disposable material like an access code or something that's tied into the book that can't be passed down from student to student. So those are going to be the top line ones. That's why I encouraged everybody again at the beginning to order early to try to get used ones. Used would be the next one down there. Used is usually it can be down as much as half the cost of a new book. It varies depending on what the availability is, how many are out in the marketplace, that sort of thing. But used will always be good. Then after those two, we get to the places where we really try to save a lot of money. So rental, for parents who have gone to school more than 10 years ago, you've probably never heard of rental. It didn't exist. It came about 10 years ago and is kind of overwhelmingly taking over the marketplace as the biggest way to get a textbook. All rental is you sign a very brief rental agreement that says, I'm going to get this book for really cheap and I'm going to bring it back at the end of the semester. You don't get any money back when you bring it back at the semester because you get all those savings up front. A big selection of our books, somewhere between 80 and 90% of our books are rentable when they're in used format. And on those books, you can save as much as 80%, but at least 40% off those books. So the savings can vary again depending, but you will save a lot of money on rental books. The rental deadline will always be the very last day of finals. So you get the book for the entire semester. You can write in it. You can make highlights in it. You can take notes in it. You can put sticky paper in it. You can do whatever you want, as long as when you bring the book back to us, it's sellable, which for the most part means that you didn't drop it in a bathtub of water. You will be able to turn that book back in. As long as we can have another student use it the next year, that's our goal. So we want to get those books back. Again, it goes back to a rental account. You'll have to make that rental account. That should absolutely be a student account. You'll get email reminders that, hey, your book is due back next Friday. Be sure to turn it in. That sort of thing. When you do that, you do have to have a credit card on file. It doesn't have to be the same thing. So you could pay with your Bursar account, but you'll have to put a credit card on file. The only thing that credit card goes on file for is if you don't bring your books back. If you don't bring your books back at the end of the semester, there's about a week grace period, give or take. It's impossible to say specifically because it's kind of an automated system, but you have at least 4 days. Usually it's a few more days than that. At the end of that 4 days, our system will automatically start charging people if the book hasn't been turned back in, and you'll get charged the difference from the rental price to the purchase price, because we just assume that you decided to keep the book. If you decide to keep the book anytime this semester, that's okay. Just come in and say, hey, I'm going to keep this book. We'll charge the difference right there, and it'll be easy. And there's also digital books. Digital books they can be an extremely affordable option if that's the route you want to go down. Digital books have been something that's been talked about in textbooks for a long time. They are great tools if you are comfortable learning natively in digital format. I can't say it's for everybody because people learn in different formats. If you're somebody who's used a tablet or a laptop your whole life and you're comfortable reading off of a tablet, you can get digital books for a lot of, you can find a good savings in there. And they do have some really neat tools that are in those books. That being said, if the thought of using your laptop as your only source of learning material stresses you out, it's probably not for you, even with the savings. And the last thing I would say about savings is I know that there are lots of places to get your textbooks out there in the world. We implemented a program about 18 months ago called our Price Match Guarantee. If you find a book cheaper, whether it's a rental book or a purchasing book or a used book at any of the major competitors out there, by that I mean Amazon or Barnes & Noble, all you have to do is bring us a screenshot. You can pull it up on your phone, you can print it off and bring it to us and show us that they have the exact same book in the exact same format for cheaper, and we'll price match the book. What we hope to accomplish by that is really, we know they're expensive, so we are trying our best to make them as affordable, make sure that you can rest easy knowing that when you come here and buy from the Xavier Bookstore, you don't have to shop for price. If you do shop for price and find somewhere cheaper, let us know. We'll match that price. We want you to know when you come here that you're going to get the best value that is out there in the marketplace. With that, questions about textbooks or about anything, really?
We will stop sharing really quickly. We have 2 questions, it looks like. If you purchased a used book, can you return the used book if you don't end up needing it?
Yeah, so we do have a return policy. The return policy the first week of class is you have up until the first full week of class to return a book for full credit. Meaning if the class starts on the first Monday of the semester, you have until the end of the following Monday to return the book. Sorry. If it starts on Tuesday, you have until the following Tuesday. That's for any reason at all. Drop the class, etc. After that first week is done, you need a drop slip if you want a full return. You can always sell back the book if you end up not needing it, but really within that first week of class, you should know if you're going to need that book or not. But if the instructor does for some reason say, hey, I'm not going to use this book, then by all means bring it back to us. Let us know that. We'll work with the professor to get that book taken off of that course list. Later on, if you just decide you didn't want the book, or if you decided that you were going to drop the class, just bring us a drop slip that says, hey, I dropped this class, and we'll do a refund for that. Yeah.
Okay. Is it best to purchase your books before getting to school or just waiting until the first day of classes?
I would highly, highly, highly encourage people to try to get their books before they get here. The big reason, like I said, is availability of used books. To get the cheapest book possible, you are going to rent a used book. That is the ideal that you want to find. And like I said, used books are a limited quantity. There are thousands of campuses all across the country. Lots of them use the same books, especially for freshmen. Books will get much more diverse as you get older, but lots of freshman math, lots of freshman science, Campbell's biology. Everybody on this is going to take Campbell's biology. At least half the freshmen in this entire country are going to use that book for their freshman biology course. So used copies get extremely difficult to find out there. The sooner you order, the more of a chance that we can find it somewhere out there in the world to get to you for use. If you wait till you get here, the likelihood that you'll find a used book just goes very much downhill. That being said, there are people who want to come in and get the physical books. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know that you're going to probably not be able to find used if you do that.
Okay, we've got a lot of questions, so we'll get to all of them. Just thank you for everyone for your patience. There's a lot coming in because it is complicated. What do I do if I get on and my book is out of stock?
If your book is out of stock, go ahead and order the book anyway. A book being out of stock isn't, especially right now, is not that uncommon. Just because we have the book information in yet doesn't mean we've physically got the books yet. Because like I said, a guy named Eric, who's my course materials manager, is out right now trying to find books from every source he can. And our last resort is to find that book from a publisher and bring it in at a full new price. We're trying to find used books whenever we can. We're trying to move some books around our inventory whenever we can. So go ahead and place the order. What will happen is your order will automatically go into our back order queue. And then as soon as that book does arrive physically in the store, your order will automatically become active again, and we will pull that book aside for your order before we put any on the shelf.
All right. What was that website called to order online?
XavierShop.com. Or you can go to the xavier.edu page and just search for Bookstore and it'll come up.
Okay. If you use one of the links that automatically creates a shopping cart, are you able to choose rent?
Yes. So if you use one of those links I talked about, either in the app or at the student hub in your schedule, it will take you to the cart and it'll show that screen I showed that have all the different options. It'll show that screen for every book for every one of your courses. So let's say there's 10 books required for all of your courses together. You'll have 10 books listed, but each one of them will have choose new, used, or rental below that. You'll kind of have to work down and choose the format you want and then check out.
Okay, just to clarify, when you order books from the bookstore, do you pick them up from campus when we get there in August? Are they shipped? Where do we pick them up?
That's a good question. Sorry, I didn't cover that. You can choose either one. Most people have no use, especially, I'm talking all freshmen here. You haven't started the course yet, so you have no use for the textbook. If you want to have it shipped to you, we absolutely will ship. It's no issue at all. We ship packages out every single day. So if you want to get comfortable with the book, browse over it over the summer, by all means do that. If you're going to choose ship, make sure that you order it early enough that when we ship it, you're not going to be getting the order at home when you're driving to campus. But the vast majority of people will choose, once you go to the final checkout page, there will be a shipping option or there will be in-store pickup. In-store pickup means you'll pick it up when you get here. You'll be in Manresa. Manresa actually has multiple scheduled times to come to the bookstore to get your books. We work directly with them, so there are gaps built into your move-in day schedule and later on that week to allow you time to come over. When you get to campus, if you've been to our Gallagher bookstore yet, the pickup location is actually not physically in the bookstore. There are so many packages that we can't house them in the bookstore. It would make the shopping way too difficult for people. So you'll go downstairs. We'll have a lot of signs that point you downstairs to a storage room that we do nothing but hand out books that people have ordered.
All right. If I get a digital book, can I print the pages off from there?
Some. It depends. Digital books are, the formats can change drastically for who made the digital book, what their policy is. The most common digital book that we sell is a Brightwave book. That one you can print up to 1/3 of the pages of the book. So depending on how big the book is, you can print up to 1/3 of them. Some of them have a 20-page limit. Some of them have a full book. It's too vague of an answer for me to give you anything firm, which I apologize about, but there's so many different publishers out there printing or publishing so many different types of digital format that it just changes drastically. So always ask any of my folks at the store. You can always call in if you're ordering online, shoot me an email. I don't know if I put my email. We can probably put my email in the chat if anybody wants to shoot me any questions that they come up with. But we can always find out for you. But it depends entirely on which book it is.
If I bring the book back at the end of the year to resell, how much will I get for that?
I can't give you an answer for that. It changes. There's a lot of things that go into that information.
Is that for new books that I can resell?
You can resell new, or you can resell used. It just changes drastically depending on. This is going to get kind of an industry answer, so I apologize for that, but it depends on how old the book is, how recently the book was published, how many are available out in kind of a global marketplace. So what we were talking about earlier with used books, there's thousands of campuses. There's lots of wholesale companies out there that buy and sell used books that have warehouses of them. But then there's also publishers who make books. So when we try to buy back a book, we have to look at all those factors of how old is this book? Is the book going to a new format anytime soon? Is the book being used on Xavier's campus? I will tell you the ideal pricing would be 50% of whatever you bought the book back. If we have let's say an instructor who told us they use this book in the fall, and we know before you sell the book back in December that another instructor is going to be using that book in January, we will buy back a certain percentage of that book at half of the book value. If we don't know that information, it goes into what we call wholesale price, and then it can just vary by what a national wholesale model is. I know that that's an industry answer. Sorry, it's a very, very up in the air answer.
What if I received a book grant, and how would I go about using that?
You'd use your Bursar funds. So if you order online, when you go to checkout, the generic term that'll be on there is financial aid. That's what we call Bursar funds in our world. So the Bursar fund, your grant is automatically loaded to your Bursar fund, or it should be. If not, you can get in touch with me and we can kind of work with the Bursar to figure out why not. But those funds are loaded onto your Bursar account. So when you check out online, you'll just put that you're paying with financial aid. You will then have to confirm your identity by putting in your student ID number and confirming you are who you say you are, and that matches who's placing the order. And then it'll take those money off of whatever available balance you have.
And just a note with that, bills go live on Friday. So if you were one of those people that has a book grant, I would wait until Friday to make sure that your account has gone live and everything is correct on your Bursar. So
you can always use those in store too. All forms of payment, all forms of payment. We were very excited this year to add that. This is the first year that the financial aid option or Bursar funds option has been available on the website. In the past, that was only for in-store, so those folks didn't get as many used opportunities as the other students. This year, all forms of payment are available either online or in store.
If a book is available electronically, will that show up as an option in the app?
Yes.
Okay. Where do I get the digital books? Anywhere on the Bookstore website, on Amazon?
Yeah, anywhere on the Bookstore website. Digital books will be the exact same. I'll actually jump back to digital books and tell you some really, if you're interested in digital, some exciting stuff has gone on recently with digital books. You would buy them the exact same way we just talked about physical books. You would either go into the store or buy them online or click the link on the app. Any of those things will get you to the cart as easily as can be. Then it'll just be the book I chose didn't have a digital option. You would just see another option that says digital book down here, and it'll give the pricing for that. If you go to the bookstore, you'd probably just get a little piece like a note card that you take up to the register. They would scan. A really exciting thing that we've been working with a lot of publishers on is what we call single sign-in access, meaning that when you buy a digital book, you confirm who you are as a student. So you'll give us your email address, and then immediately we will load that book onto your Canvas profile. So you don't have to. Now, it's not for every digital book yet, but what it does is if you come in and buy a book from us, a digital book, instead of getting an access code that you then have to go to the publisher website and download that digital book, we just get your email address right then and there from you at the register or online. We then load that book automatically onto your Canvas page, which, like I said, is the student access tool that you'll use for all of your courses. And then you automatically have access to that book just because we knew who you are, and we automatically load it for you instead of you having to download it.
Just to clarify, all textbooks are not digital, correct?
No. Nope.
Just an option.
Yep, it's just an option. It's an option on I would say at this point it's an option probably on half of the textbooks. It's not an option on every textbook, unfortunately. It's an option on a lot of them, but not all of them.
Okay, I looked up a course, for example, my calculus class, to find books, and it says to select one of 4 books available. How am I supposed to choose, and what does this mean?
Some of them can get a little confusing. I'd have to look at the exact course to know that. What it probably means is, I'm trying to think how to answer this in the least boring way possible. There was a law that passed some number of years ago called the Higher Education Opportunities Act that said whenever a bundle was made, so a bundle of textbooks is something that became popular 10 years ago, that publishers would take a book and put it with an access code and put it with a study guide and sell it all as one 3-piece package. What that law I just mentioned said is that you can sell that, that's fine, but you also have to be able to provide students each of those individual pieces of books. So they have to be able to buy just the book or just the access code or just that. So some of those books, that might be what you're looking at. Oh, did she give you the class? Are we looking this up?
No, but we can.
Okay, that'd be good. I mean, it doesn't matter. They'll probably say on there somewhere that it's the book with access code, the book without access code, a couple different formats. Anytime you have a specific question like that, I would just say reach out to me. I can get you in touch with one of my textbooks folks, and we can answer that specific question and make sure you get the one that you really need. It could just be a handful of different things. But what that means is it's what's called a choice book, meaning that you need one book, but there's kind of 4 different options, so choose whichever one works best for you.
Okay, is there a way to enter your student ID and have all of your course books come up?
No.
Okay.
Has to be your email address. Sorry, I said no very quickly. If you were you'd sign in with your student ID to get to the student hub.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were at the student hub, you could sign in and then just go to your active schedule, and there should be a buy books button down at the bottom that you could click, and then you don't need to sign in additionally. It already has that information because you're already signed in.
What if I drop or add a class in the middle of the semester? Could I sell or buy a book at that point?
You can buy a book anytime. We generally keep the books in stock. We try not to empty the shelves until as late into the semester as we can. Space is always an issue, and books take up a lot of rooms, and the fall semester backs right up with the spring semester. So eventually we are going to send all of the fall books back so we can make room and bring all of the spring books in so we can have the new books. But even if we don't have it physically in the store, you can always come in the store, tell us which book you need, and we'll special order one in for you. You can also sell books back any time of year. You'll see a big buyback time at the end of the year. That being said, you can always sell your books back. It doesn't matter if it's that time of year or not. But what I would say to that specific question is, if you dropped your if you dropped your course, if you bring in a drop schedule or a drop list that's saying, hey, I dropped this book from my course, we'll do a refund for that book because you dropped the course.
Okay. Can you order books through other websites such as Amazon and its vendors using the textbook number?
Depends what you mean by textbook number. I would assume you mean ISBN, which is kind of a call sign for all textbooks. You can. There are a lot of books out there by that. I would encourage folks not to. Amazon is it's a great tool for many things, and they absolutely sell books on there. What you do when you enter that book number on there does not necessarily guarantee it's the right edition. You could get things that are called teachers editions or international editions that technically use the same number, but they're not the right book. They're also there's no way for professors to talk to those entities to make sure that you're getting the right book. That's one of the big reasons we introduced the price match initiative that I started last year. By all means, I would say go shop on Amazon and see if you can find the book for cheaper. But if you find the book for cheaper on Amazon, just save that page, bring it into the store, and we'll price match the book for you then, so you can still get them all from one source and make sure you save the most money.
Okay, I know we had a couple people ask this question, so we're going to share the screen again to show you where on the website you can find that full list. So when you go to the bookstore, if you go into books, textbooks, and course materials, it's going to load. Down here, you'll select your term and then the department of what the class is. So if your student is taking a chemistry course, select the course and then the section number, and then you will click submit. The other way, again, is through the Student Hub, and that will automatically populate all of the student courses.
I'm gonna rudely look at my phone for 1 second to see if I have still have the Xavier app on my phone. I'm not a student, so I don't actively use it. I tested it, but I don't know if I still have it on here.
This person, where on the Student Hub? So
it should be in your schedule. It's one of the ones I find kind of difficult to answer because I'm not a student. I don't have access to the Student Hub. I know where it kind of was when we set it up, right when you're making the schedule. Do you have access to the Student Hub?
I'm not a student. But
yeah, so we don't have access to show you that because you have to get to the Student Hub. It's kind of a tricky thing. To get to the Student Hub, you have to be a student, and we're not students, so I can't show you that. But if you go to your schedule where it lists all the courses you're taking, down at the very bottom of that, it should show on there. Just a little buy books link. Or if you go to where you would be scheduling in the self-service menu, you could click on add a course, and then anytime you're adding a new course, it'll always have that link on there. So anywhere around your schedule, you should be able to link that. And like I said, the app is the newest one we've introduced. If you have the Xavier app, there's just a button on there that literally says buy books, and you just click that, it'll load that cart for you.
And I'm trying to get, one of the other admission counselors is taking a class, so I'm trying to get them to send me, so that way we can pull it up and share our screen to show you.
Okay.
I think we answered all of them. I am going to log in and show you all, do a screen share, so that way we can show you exactly what it will look like on your Student Hub. But if anyone else has more questions, keep them coming while we pull this up. Of course, it's not letting me log in.
Oh, and did you want to drop my email into the
yes.
chat?
We're going to try. Thanks, everyone, for hanging tight.
Click search.
I've got it here, I think. Okay, so we are going to share the screen. Tim, the other admission counselor, was gracious enough to let us use his login. So
we're gonna know.
We're all gonna know what Tim is taking. If anyone's curious, he's getting his MBA, so we might see some of his MBA on here. So when you go on, you will not have these other ones because this is for faculty and staff only. So if you click on student, and you can go to your student detail schedule, submit. Of course, he is not registered for what we need. Okay. So of course, now that I'm trying to.
But this is, you could go to the schedule, but while we're on the screen, I'll go back one more screen. If you look right down at the bottom of the screen, is the purchase textbooks.
Takes an army.
It will also be in the schedule if he had a schedule that was able to be pulled up in there, but that's the button that you need.
So that was, again, if you go to registration and purchase textbooks, this should automatically, if you press purchase textbooks, populate that for you.
Go to the website, load the website with a cart, but he didn't have anything loaded in there, so it should just be an empty cart.
All right, looks like we had a couple more questions. We aren't seeing the login place on the hub. So to log into the hub, you will use your Xavier credentials. So it's what your whatever your Xavier.edu email, that first section without the @Xavier.edu, and whatever your password is. So hopefully you should be able to log on.
And it won't actually make you log in, I don't think. I can speak from the faculty staff side of things. It won't actually make you log in until you hit a button that requires a login. So if you go to the main Xavier.edu page, you can browse around a bunch of public information, but until you click like course search or student services or something like that, that's what point you'll need to log in, because then it needs to know who you are.
If we order books online and have them shipped to our home, how long does that typically take? And is there enough time between now and the beginning of the semester to have them shipped home?
There's absolutely enough time from now to the beginning of the semester if your book is available right now. If the books are all available in the store, if you order them by 4 o'clock, they'll pull them the next morning and they'll get shipped out that day, and then 2 to 3 days. So I would say from the time you order it, no more than a week for them to get back. That requires all of your books to be available. And as we said, we're still working on getting the books in. So at that point, it just kind of, if the books all show as available, you're completely safe. If the books say unavailable or anything, I would just call and say, hey, what's the timeline on having this book in, etc., or shooting us an email.
Okay. My course, for this example, my Spanish 201 course says the book is out of stock, and when I add to cart, it is grayed out. What should I try next?
It's a good question. Without seeing the specific book, I would say that means the book is not one that we have on order yet for one reason or another. I can't say specifically what that reason is. I would tell you specifically to email me, and I can track down that information. What it is, it's probably a custom book. If I had to make a guess, sight unseen, I'd say it's a custom book that can't be ordered ahead of time. So the publisher is still working. Lots of books that you'll run into are books that we would call custom books, that the publisher is pulling certain chapters from some books, certain chapters from other books, and putting together like a Spanish 201 custom book. So if the book's not actually available to order yet, the website wouldn't let you because the book doesn't exist yet. They're still making it. That'd be my guess. But if you shoot me an email, I can give you the specifics on that one.
I can't find the tab that says buy books. Where in the app did you say that was?
If you will allow me to, I'm going to very rudely download the Xavier app on my phone.
Actually. So I will also, in the chat, I will send the link to the student bookstore website, to Michael's email, and as well to on the Student Hub. If you just go to the main Xavier page, and on the bottom on students, you should be able to go to self-service, and that's where the hub will be if you want to go in through that way.
So what you will need to do to get to the buy books link on the app, can everybody see my phone?
Should be able to. You're not sharing screens.
Okay. This is my phone. You'll have to click on this button right here, the My Courses. So on the main page, click on My Courses. The reason you have to click that before you can click the Buy Books button is it has to authenticate who you are. So it needs to, you'll have to, when you click on that Buy Book or My Courses button, it'll have the same username and password. That allows the system to know who you are, what courses you're taking, and then you can click the Purchase Textbooks button because it pulls that information specifically for those courses.
Okay, does Ohio have a tax-free day, and can you place your order on that day and get items tax-free?
Ohio does have a tax-free day. Textbooks are not included in tax-free day. I actually just, I'm going to once again look at my phone right now because literally earlier today, and notice came out when that is. I don't know the specific date. Their Illinois tax-free day does include textbooks, for instance, so I know there are places that have tax-free days out there. What I can tell you is Ohio does have a tax-free day. Textbooks are unfortunately not included. School supplies are the big thing that you can get on, at least as far as the stuff that we are talking about that would be relevant to you. School supplies you can buy on tax-free day and not pay any taxes on those. That might sound like a relatively small thing, but I would say there are some school supplies that you'll find that actually have pretty hefty price tags on them. So by all means, I would encourage people maybe get a jump start on calculator you need, or remember that for next year. I don't know in your freshman, I doubt in your freshman class you'll need any really advanced calculators like a TI-89 that's $185 or so. But if there's any really expensive school supplies, if you're taking a lot of art classes and anything like that, that would be the best bet.
Okay, so I have also included, so the link on the xavier.edu page, you're going to go to students, and then self-service is where you can find your schedule there. Also the website for the bookstore, as well as Michael's email and his extension. If you, after this, you have some very specific questions that pertain to your schedule.
Yep.
It looks like we have a few more questions. your books, you said books should be ordered early. About when is early?
Now. I mean, books can be ordered anytime from the end of the semester till anytime during the semester. There's no perfect time. Like I said, we're always trying to get. So I would say go on the website now and look at your books. If all of your books show as not necessarily in stock, but show that there is book information in there, I would place that order now, because that'll put you very front of the line to get used books if they're available. If you go in there and some of your courses are missing information from the instructors, I would either say place all the book orders you can and wait on just that book, or keep checking frequently until that book information is loaded in there, and then order as soon as that's in there.
Okay, is other Xavier gear included in the tax-free day?
I don't believe so. I don't have access to, actually, I thought I'd have access to pull up the details about it. I'm not live on an internal network I need to be on to pull up the details of tax-free day. I do not believe any apparel is included in tax-free day.
Okay, and then when we open the My Course button on the app, it lists all of my courses, but there's actually no option to physically buy books. Do you have any suggestions with that?
That's concerning, I would say. Do you think the other guy would mind if we logged into his?
Nope, I can do that.
His thing. I will log him up. We're going to attempt to log in the other counselor for just a second so we can see what you're seeing. Sorry again about that. I don't have access. Once we get it out of test mode and live into the app, since I'm not a student, I don't have the same visibility that you guys would.
I don't know.
So it's on
that's
here.
Also a spring or a summer course, maybe.
That shouldn't change. So this is what you should be seeing. So when we logged into his courses,
you might have to get close.
Yeah, the resolution's not great on this. Sorry, I know that this is very low tech. This is what happens when we clicked on his My Courses section. We then logged in, and right down here at the bottom, there's just a big blue banner that says Buy Books. You should be able to click that, and it should load all your books. If that's not working on your specific app, and you've already registered for your courses and they're already in there, absolutely please reach out to me. I would love to shoot your contact info or at least your username over to our campus IT department to get them troubleshooting why it's not showing up on some apps. But like I said, it should be, once you log in with your courses in the My Courses button, it should be that little blue button right there.
All right, these are all very questions. Books are complicated, believe it or not, so that's why we're lucky to have Michael here. So if you have other questions, we still have a few more minutes if anyone has anything we haven't covered. Okay, so trying to pay with the financial aid as a payment, I would wait until Friday just because that is when the Bursar accounts are going to go live. And then Friday, if you have any issues, either give your admission counselor a call or go ahead and call the Bursar, because they're the ones that can make sure that, one, that's credited to your account, and two, that it's going to transfer over to the bookstore. Oh, looks like we have 2 questions. I posted the links in the chat, but I will also post them right here to the questions page. And we will also be posting this recording of this to your Road to Xavier. So I will make sure that these links, as well as Michael's email, also get put on there. If I order a book now and find it cheaper online next month, will you price match then?
Yep. Bring in your receipt showing you bought the book with us. Bring in the price match or the book info from the other site, and we will put the difference in those 2 prices on a gift card that you can use. You can either use it for additional books, you can use it at any of our locations, you can use it for Starbucks throughout the year, you can buy a t-shirt with it, you can save it for next year, it never expires, you can use it for books next year. We'll load the difference on a gift card.
Do we do educational discounts on laptops?
Yes. You can find them on our website, xaviershop.com. There should be a technology section on there, and there's some laptop options on there. I believe right now you can also come into the store at Gallagher. We have some laptop options there. I think we have Dell and one other brand I'm blanking on right now that you can get educational pricing on some of those. You will see Apple products on the website, and you'll see Apple products at our University Station store. Unfortunately, Apple has extremely strict rules on educational discounts for their materials. We're a campus authorized reseller of Apple stuff, meaning we can sell Apple tablets and laptops, but we cannot give educational discounts on them.
We still have about 10 minutes, so if anyone messes around with their website or anything like that, still feel free to ask questions. Does the bookstore offer laptop servicing?
Not directly. So there's a couple different answers I would give you. We do sell a kind of what I think is really a neat little warranty program called Safeware, where you buy it for, I think it's depending on how much your laptop costs. It's a kind of a sliding scale. But you'd say $40, you would buy it. What that does then is it kind of gives a post-purchase warranty on that thing. So if you damage it for any reason, if it quits working, you can then take that Safeware card into an authorized repair place, and they'll fix it for you free of charge because you already have the warranty program through Safeware. The closest, and while we don't fix them in store, one of our neighbors right next door to us at University Station is a company named Digital Docs. He's a locally franchised company that specializes in laptop, tablet, phone repair. He does a lot of business with Xavier students in the surrounding communities. He can, I say he because it's a man named Andy Tracy. Sorry. He's kind of a one-man operation up there with a couple student workers who work for him. They're the closest place to campus to get something fixed. They can fix anything from a cracked screen on your phone to complete memory issues or whatnot with your tablet or gaming system or anything in the world. They're a great little shop, and they are an authorized repair center for the Safeware warranty program that I mentioned. So if you're worried about something breaking after you buy a tablet, or if you bought a tablet at home and want to be sure to have some protection on that, or a laptop, then purchase a Safeware thing, and if anything ever happens, you can go to Andy. Or if you don't have that and you need something, Digital Docs is the name of the company, and it's in the University Station development right next door to our All for One shop, the clothing store.
Okay, regarding laptops, do course or majors provide recommendations for specific ones, Mac versus PC, and where would I find this?
No, not that I know of. If you, I would say, somewhat just based on experience, if you ask, for the most part, professors are giant fans of Apple. Generally speaking, I don't know why. I can't give you a good reason. They have lots of tools that work well for academia. Generally speaking, they're easily transportable. They're easy to use on the go and whatnot. I'm not making a sales pitch for Apple. I'm just I can tell you my wife is an instructor on campus. She has an Apple, and I would say 15 of our friends, when they get together for study sessions, it is just a massive MacBook party. That being said, that's for higher level academia. I don't know if the same would be true to undergrad students. If you're curious about that, I would say contact somebody in the department. If you're whatever major you're looking for, it kind of depends. I know there are certain majors that would probably tell you to stay as far away from Apple as possible because there are still certain tools that aren't as accessible. If you're in a video editing major or an art and design major, Apple's probably the best based on the platforms they have in there, but some other ones might not be. So if you're really curious about that, there's never going to be a general answer. It's always going to be personal preference and what you prefer the most, but I would absolutely reach out to a department chair or an advisor in that department and ask them.
All right. Any last minute questions anybody can think about?
Agreed.
Should you buy a lock for your laptop?
Yes, absolutely. College is a very big place, and your laptop will inevitably. I mean, Xavier Campus Police does a fantastic job, and we are lucky enough to. I can tell you, I work out of the Starbucks in one of our stores frequently, and I am a horrible at just leaving my laptop sitting there and wandering away for 10 minutes. And luckily, it's never been stolen. But every time I get back to it, I'm like, I'm an idiot for doing that. It's never the best practice to assume the best nature of other people, and Xavier is a fantastic place and much better odds than a large state school. That being said, there's 5,000 people around, and I would not risk leaving an extremely expensive laptop probably just laying around. So I would buy a lock for it. Most of the time it's going to be in your bag, but eventually you'd probably forget it somewhere, and having a lock on is just one better safety tool. And if you spent $1,500 to get a laptop, a $20 lock is probably well worth the investment.
All right. Well, one last time, I put the Xavier website, the bookstore website, as well as Michael's email. So if you do have questions, again, feel free to follow up with him, follow up with your admission counselor, or if you have a specific question that pertains to your department, like the laptop question, go ahead and ask them. Thank you all for your time.
Yeah,
we're glad that you all could be
Yeah.
here with us tonight. And there's one last question. There are free Office 365 subscriptions. You don't have to buy those when you are a student. You just download those to your computer.
Correct. Yeah, thank you all. Welcome to Xavier. Look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. Thank you all so much for your time, and have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.